Hello everyone and welcome to Chile. This is one of the countries with the largest height to, or one of the smallest should I say, height to, well, it would be large. Would it be large? I'm assuming it would be large. Height to width ratio. It's so tall, it's so thin, it has a 6,000 kilometer border with the Pacific Ocean, and we're in the capital of Chile. We're in Santiago for what is the Santiago ePRIX. Here is the track then, 11 turns, we've got 45 minutes plus one lap. Turn 1, turn 2, sweep you left and right through into turn 3, the attack mode activation zones on the outside of there. Turn 7 sets you up for the massive long left-hander of turn 8. Turn 9 then sets you up for turn 10 and 11, both the hairpins, which sends you back down the pit straight where you will finish your lap. Here is the starting grid then. Nobody qualifying in position 24 or position 23, but P22 is Kevin O'Stinky and P21 is Riley Badge in the Envision Virgin Racing. P20 is the Mahindra of Lano. Power unit is in P19. P18 is going to be not Riley Badge, that's going to be Jogsy. And P17 is going to be Black Evo in the other BMW. P16 is the first of Mercedes, that's Sever. Castronics and the Tagua Porsche lines up P15. P14 is JQN Rec. Professor Bloxer is in P13 with the Geox Dragon team. His teammate TDM Fan lines up P12, a position ahead of him. Indominus Rex lines up P11 with Epic Brother just in the points for DS Cheetah in P10. Neddy Gaming is the second Mahindra in P9 with Landry, the first of the Panasonic Jaguar cars in P8. P7, last week's pole sitter Correct. P6, F1 Fan in the Envision Virgin Racing car, the second one. Aluno in the second Panasonic Jaguar Racing, and AG Capadonna in the first Nissan E-Dams. Just Matt is on the podium. Critical Noob in the other Nissan E-Dams is also on the podium, and the person who lined up on pole is East Sliders. However, Dakar is currently sitting in his car. This button's not working. Hang on. Let me get this button working. Brilliant. This is how it was all meant to go. Wonderful. Okay, right, this is very broken. This is wonderful. Okay, yes, just panic. Don't panic. So, just for you watching, viewers, the lights have gone out. We can't bring that to you just yet. It went out a bit too quickly. We weren't ready.
Looks like AG Capadona is currently taking the lead, the Care following behind him.
Yay, it works. Here is everyone then. We're currently on lap 1. We haven't finished. Well, we are now finishing. Here, on to lap 2. We did miss the start, but not as much as we did last week. Probably should have checked my Xbox Live. If that didn't run out, we would have been okay. Also, hopefully the improved audio is a bit better. I've changed how the audio is like sent, so please let me know if that's terrible.
Good battle on the front here. Chorus in purple sector 1. He's pushing out. 8/10 gap behind him is the Care. Half a second gap then leads to AG Capadona. All drivers still very close together. Lead is slowly beginning to pull away.
Yeah, Corrick's managed to make his way all the way up into the lead. He started P7. Professor Blocks has also managed to make up a load of places now in P3.
Be interesting to see how much that second sector affected Corrigetta. I wonder if he just clipped the wall a little bit. Not sure whether he'll take the fastest lap away. Sever has set a purple sector 2. In fact, multiple drivers, so we're not quite sure there as they're coming along the home straight. Corrigetta unable to get the fastest lap and doesn't improve on the third sector. The Care half a second behind him now, followed by Sever, who's pushed, now has the fastest lap and set the purple sector 2, who is 1.5 seconds behind the leader.
It seems like a lot of the people here who got a poor qualifying have actually managed to pull themselves up the grid a bit, and then everyone else has kind of fallen back down.
Yeah, very interesting. Seems to have reversed itself almost. The Care and Corrigetta fighting out for the lead. Less than 1/10 separating the two. So they round that corner. The Care just getting a better exit as he leads away, getting into penultimate corner. Looking back, Castronix in P6 has set 2 purple sectors. He seems to be on a push. He's 2 seconds behind from the leader. We'll see if he is able to steal the fastest lap under the extra constructor's point. And he is able to. He maintains that 6th place position, now 2.2 seconds behind the leader, which is Dakar. And we'll see how far he can now push up. Corriget are fighting back now as the two are again battling at it as they go onto the long sweeping left-hander. Less than a tenth separating them.
So it turns out this new audio thing that I tried to do isn't working, so we're just going to ignore that and hope that this button works. That doesn't work. We'll find out if it does. Hopefully it does. Please start
Sever,
working.
who's prior in P3, has dropped down to P6. There seems to be a great battle going on all the way from the start of the points in P10 all the way to P1. And there you see the Care crossing the line half a second before him. We're likely to see that battle happen again. AG Capadona has worked his way up now. He's at 1 and 1.4 seconds behind Care. Stronix, who currently is the fastest lap, has made the position on Nerda. Now Professor Bloxer moving up into P4. AG Capadona able to improve on his first sector. Now 1.3 seconds behind the leader. Corriges are only 3/10 behind Decare. Just Matt, back in P8, has managed to set a purple sector 1. He's 3.5 seconds behind the leader.
It looks for the moment that Dakar and Korak are going to be the only two people really in contention for this lead at the moment, as everyone else is pretty much a second behind or more. However, them two are just squabbling it out with just 75 hundredths between them. 75,000, sorry.
Close. Very close between them, but there's a great power for P3. In fact, the leaderboard's saying Professor Bloxer and AG Capitona crossed the point at the exact same time.
Our unit has also taken attack mode.
Professor moving into the lead with that benefit of the extra power. Castronic has worked his way up now to P3. He's 1.25 seconds behind our current leader, which is Professor Bloxer, who was able to get. Oh, I was going to say he was able to get the fastest lap there, but power unit back in P16 was able to take that.
He isn't going to get that extra point for it, however, if he can't make his way up into the top 10, which I suspect he will be able to do if he's faster than everyone else around him, as TDM Fan and Epic Brother have both just taken their attack modes on the 6th lap.
Nerd on 2 personal bests in Sector 1 and Sector 2. We'll see if he's able to improve on his current type. Maybe be in contention for a fastest lap, unlikely though as he's got no purple sectors. The 2 prior leaders still less than 2 seconds behind Professor Bloxer.
Our unit's been able to make some positions down into P15, just Black Evo behind him, which is a bit of a buffer to TDM Fan, who also has the buffer of Wolf Landry to Epic Brother.
Care activating it. And Nerd Gaming, both in similar proximities of each other. Interesting to see how much ground Decare can make back up, and Professor Bloxer is obviously 3 seconds behind at the moment, 3/10 behind P2, which is Corrigetta. Power unit down in P15, again setting our fastest sector 1. Will he be able to improve on the current fastest lap, which he holds?
Black Evo is taking his attack mode. As well as Kevin. Kevin O'Stinky's also taken his attack mode.
Interestingly, Decare is unable to significantly reduce the time the has behind Professor right now. We'll see if that changes as they both come across the finish line soon, but still 3.25 seconds. I'm sure we'll see that reduce now as Professor comes across the line. And Decare crosses as well. Yes, he's able to take down 1.2 seconds there on one lap. And he's still got 2.5 minutes remaining on his attack mode.
AG Capridona's taken attack mode.
So is Corregetta, actually. Didn't notice that one. He's nearly 4 seconds behind the leader, Professor Bloxer, so...
Nerdy Gaming has
falling back slightly.
Nerdy Gaming has just set a purple sector 1.
We'll see if he's able to improve on the current fastest lap, which is now being taken by Epic Brother. TDM fan also saying the fastest sector 1 as Decare sets 2 personal bests in sector 1 and sector 2, and has taken the lead from Professor Bloxer, who is now 1/10 behind him.
Professor Bloxer has now gotten in front of him. At least that's what it looks like through that final corner. This main straight is going to give Decare a much better boost advantage, so... as he now rounds the hairpin. Who's going to get the better exit? It looks like Decare for the time being. But there's still one more corner to go. And Decare is way in front of Professor Bloxer now.
Yeah, he's flying. AG Capridona's up to P4 now with his attack mode. He's got 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining with that. Corregetta, who activated his attack mode, is now set fastest sector 2. And has reduced the gap to the prior leader down to 0.2 temps and is 2 temps to Decare, who's now in front. Nerd Gaming takes the fastest lap. He's in P4 currently. 3 seconds to the leader of Decare. Decare now with a 2.75 gap to Professor behind, slowly extending his lead. Corregetta is still 3.7 seconds now behind him. He really needs to make some ground on him before Decare gets so far away. It's game over.
Kevin Stinky's really not doing very well in the Rocket Venturi car today, and neither is Wolf Landry in the Jaguar. They're both several seconds behind the people in front of them. 20 seconds ahead up the track is Wolf Landry for Kevino, then 10 seconds up the track is Epic Brother for Wolf Landry.
Yeah, not well for him at all. Decare comes across the line now to start the 10th lap. Corregetta back there in the distance, 3.35 seconds behind him, and AG Capitona right on his tail, only 3 tenths behind him as well.
Dacare's retaken attack mode.
Yeah, and Cashinix has activated his attack mode as well. So we'll see if he can reduce his gap, which is 5.8 seconds. Corregetta now setting the fastest sector 1.
Correct sets purple sector 1, purple sector 2. What can he do in sector 3? I suspect he may be able to take that fastest lap away from Nerdy Gaming, but unless he heavily screws up on that final corner, then it doesn't look like he will. Moving over to stay with the racing line, get a little bit of slipstream from the car of Dakar ahead. Rounding one of the 2 final hairpins. This is now coming up to turn 11. Gonna want to get as late on the brakes as possible. As they now rattle down towards the start-finish line. See what that can get him.
Lap? Ooh.
Oh, he can't improve in sector 3. Nerdy Gaming holds it for now, though. F1 Fan is also taking attack mode, as well as Critical Noob. He's going to want to try and gain up some more places in his Nissan E-Dams, considering how highly he qualified.
Dakar setting a personal best in sector 1. He's got a 3.6 second gap for Jetta behind him, and a 4.8 second gap to AG Capadona in 3rd place. He's looking quite good for the moment. Kashnix also sets a green sector 1. He'll be pushing now with his attack mode activated.
Is he on board from F1 Fan? One of the several people with attack mode at the moment. Now finishing off turn 8, heading down into turn 9. The track surface changes here. Could feel a little bump or two if you're not careful. Took that hairpin very wide, just hit into the wall there. Not going to aid his chances of improving on his lap time. He only gets a yellow or a not improved sector 2.
We're over halfway now through this race. Dakar with a nearly 8-second gap to position 2 of Horajetta. Kashanix 8.4 seconds behind him as well.
F1 Fan seems to have managed to get ahead then of just Matt, who does not have attack mode. However, they're very close to each other, and we also have to take into account the vision lag, so we cannot say for sure he's ahead until he does cross the next timings line and says that he is officially ahead.
Yeah, Dakar now saying a fastest sector 1. He's obviously currently got the fastest lap, unable to improve in sector 2, but just extending his gap now to 9.5 seconds.
9.5 seconds is absolutely mad in Formula E because the cars can run so close to each other, but yet again Dakar is absolutely dominating on everyone else.
Yeah, that's an outstanding performance again from Dakar. Wouldn't expect anything less from him, obviously being the champion of the Ion F1 for this season.
Oh, 3 times in a row.
Yeah. And his team taking the Constructors' Championship. And there he crosses the line. We'll wait for Corriges to cross the line to see the updated gap between the two. Looking at 8.9 seconds right now. As Kashanix is able to take P3 now. Professor and AG Capadona are fighting for the P4.
Corrick has managed to just chip away at Dakar ever so slightly, however, and if he can keep this up for the next few laps, then he may be able to get into a chance to get the win, because he just managed to chip off about half a second there. And yet again, he's just chipped off half a second. He's chipping off half a second every sector.
Definitely.
Hast falls back then. Professor Bloxer back in P3. Riley Vaj and Black Evo both on attack mode.
Great battle, in fact, for the P3, P4 and P5 between Professor Bloxer, AG Capadona and Kashanix. Kashnik's getting the one better than AG Capitona, moving up to P4. Professor still maintaining that final podium position. Over 11 seconds behind the leader of the Care now.
Correct, however, is now just 7. That was a 10-second gap. It's gone down by 3 seconds in the last lap, or the last 2 laps alone.
Yeah, and he didn't even set any purple sectors there, so
This attack mode's definitely helping him.
yeah, he's got about 1 minute coming up remaining of that. Castronics in P4 has about 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining of that. As I do say that, he moves into P3, takes that final podium position. He'll need to extend the gap, so when that does run out, he can maintain it. Now 6 seconds the gap between Decare and Corregetta. Another 2 temps he's taken off in that first sector. Castronics improves, personal best in sector 1. Corregetta setting a purple sector 2 and is now 4.5 seconds behind Decare. He's really catching him, and on paper he should catch Decare much before the end of the race and have ample time to make an overtake.
However, is this now lack of attack mode going to help him whatsoever? Could this gap now start to reform? Because Correct can see Dakar ahead of him, but they have pretty much the same level of energy, so energy saving is not going to help either of them.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be right down to the wire. We'll have to see how much Corregetta is able to improve without the attack mode and see if that's able to still benefit him, and his pace is better than Dakar.
Jogsy and Sever also have taken attack mode. Black Evo's just ran out of his.
Castronics not long left on his. He's only got 1.8 second gap to P4, which is AG Capadona. He's also on attack mode. Corregetta maintaining the gap, 5.2 seconds. Cast and AG Kappa both setting a personal best in Sector 1. Both of them pushing and looking to take that final podium position.
Everyone still seems to be doing the thing where they shift down into neutral. Cash did say 2 weeks ago that cars who do this will get loads of extra drag, but everyone still seems to be doing it.
Interesting. Castronics, meanwhile, is at a purple sector 2. And in fact, he's catching Corregetta. He's only 3 temps behind him. So now Corregetta, his eyes are behind, not necessarily in front on the Care. He's got not 1 car behind him, but 2 cars with AG Capadona as well. And in fact, by the looks of it, AG Capadona has taken the position. It'll be interesting to see as they cross the line who's able to take the podium position. AG Capadona moving up.
That's now Correct down into P3. These 3 battling each other isn't going to help if they want to be able to win this race, because they're just going to end up slowing each other down. So, is it going to be a team game to try and get in front of Dakar, or are they just going to be scrambling for these remaining podium positions?
Yeah, AG Capadona obviously still with the attack mode, but only 40 seconds remaining on that now. He's going to want to try and extend his gap to Corregetta and Castronics behind him, so when that does run out, he'll have the best chance of maintaining that P2. AG Capadona reducing the gap to Dakar. It's now down to 4.6 seconds. He's got himself 0.9 tenths clear of Corregetta. He's still going to want a little bit more of that. Only 5 seconds remaining on his attack mode.
Just an interesting tidbit. Kevin O has disconnected from the game. I'm not sure how long ago that was, but Kevin O is going to be our first and hopefully only DNF of the race.
Looks like AG Capitano is still leading those trail of 3 cars, but not by much. Corriges is going to be right on his tail, fighting him right to the wire as they go on to the 17th lap. Gap 5 tenths, half a second, and Castronics 1 second, 1.3 seconds behind those two. So it's really going to be a good battle for those final 2 podium positions. Obviously, AG Capitano with the fastest lap, so that's going to help him to gain as much points as he can. Sliding on the exit of that corner, and it looks like visually Corriget has taken the lead. He must not have got the greatest exit there, and has dropped behind us. Castronics is joining the party to battle for that P2 and P3.
Very small gap between Korek and AG Capadonna. The gap's about, I'd say, 1.5 times larger between AG Capadonna and Cast. However, in this braking zone, it can easily get smaller. What it seems to have done, Cast is inside of AG Capadonna right now. Is he going to be able to get ahead? He couldn't get ahead out of that corner. Is he going to be able to get ahead out of turn 10? Or is Korek in trouble? Because he's now starting to fall back to AG Capadonna. Who's ahead? Korek's still ahead, but Cast has managed to get ahead of AG Capadonna.
They're going to be finding it right down to the start-finish straight here. Looks visually like Corrigietta is just ahead, followed by Castronics, and then AG Capadonna is falling completely out of the podium positions. We'll see as they cross the line. Yeah, and it looks like I'm correct. Corrigietta P2, only 2 tenths ahead of Castronic in P3, and AG Capadonna dropping back there 4 tenths behind P3.
Korek is taking a slightly wider racing line than Cast is. Which racing line is going to be quicker? Both of these drivers are seeming to be at pretty much the same pace right now, with Korek managing to stay on top of this battle. However, if one racing line does turn out to be slightly quicker than the other one, well, we could see a quick switcheroo.
Yeah, definitely. Just from analysing AG Capitano, I wonder if he's having some kind of tyre wear issue, because he seems to be sliding out of nearly every exit from the corners. So I wonder if something's gone on there.
TDM fan has taken attack mode.
As AG Capitano is really falling back now from the 2. It seems like that podium is set, but, well, the driver's on it, but we don't know in what positions. Corrigietta and Castronic still fighting it out.
Only 2 and a bit laps remaining. They don't have any more attack modes to hand out for the top 4 drivers. It's just going to be off of pure pace now. There's no more strategy that they can play into the game.
Yeah, it's going to be a game of who is truly the fastest driver now.
However, something very interesting to look at. Dakar and Cast on 15 and 14% energy. Korek and AG Capadonna are on 13 and 12% energy. If Korek has to save energy, Cast could get ahead of him. There's only 1/10 between them, and 1/10 is more than enough time if the person in front needs to recover. Because if he doesn't recover, well, it's already happened. Cast is ahead of Korek.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's going to affect him towards the end of this race now. Our podium may be set in stone.
Korek, however, does seem to be catching up. He is getting very close to Cast. We've got a series of very hard braking zones coming up, so whoever brakes the latest is pretty much going to end up in front. Korek is falling back quite significantly now.
Yeah, notably, I think the Care's pace is dropping, because he's only 3.4 seconds ahead of Castronics.
Cast is now got Dakar in front of him for a possible win, but also Korek in his wing mirrors for a possible third place instead of a second. And when you're fighting for third or seconds, there's still 3 points in it.
Yeah, surely though, Dakar has this lead now. 3.5 seconds, which would have to be made up in 2 laps.
Who can improve then? Or is Dakar just going to blast away into the sunset? We'll find out.
2.7 seconds. It's reducing. Corrigetta hits the wall there on the exit of turn 2.
The only people with attack mode remaining is Nerdy Gaming, TDM Fan, and Epic Brother. However, the only person close enough to points is Nerdy Gaming. He's currently in 6th, but he's 20 seconds off the leader, so very small chance he will be able to gain any more points. There's a 3-second gap to Professor Bloxer ahead of him, and the other two, they're both out of the points.
Yeah, it appears either Dakar has began putting his foot down again and finishing it off, or Cass' pace is slowly dropping away, so that gap's increased to maybe 3.8 seconds. Seems to be quite comfortable for Dakar. Meanwhile, Corrigetta is right on the tail of Castronics, seeming to get a better exit and is now ahead of him. So we could really see a fight down to the last lap for that P2.
Are we going to have a repeat of last weekend when P2 and 3 were shared? Exactly, so they both got P2 points, 18 points. We'll find out.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Cast is currently in front though, however, as we are now entering the last lap of the ePRIX. That gap, however, is barely a car length, so it's going to be very interesting to see who will end up on top. We're not going to leave this battle because it's very, very close, and there are 3 points at stake between the two of them here.
Notably, Dakar is really started pulling away now. He's made about 2 seconds on those guys in 1 lap, and I'm sure he'll maintain that pace for the final lap, but that's not what we're interested in right now. 1/10 separating P2 and P3, almost imaginal, and it's bound to change.
They're side by side as Korek now slots in front of Cast. However, Cast just said no. He's gotten back ahead and he's now heading round into turn 8. But to that, Korek said no. Korek's decided to get ahead of him into turn 8. This is the
It's really going to be tit and tat.
This is one of the longest sort of straights on the calendar. You're flat out for a ridiculous amount of time. At least half the lap is flat out around here. It could pretty much make up for an entire sector in itself, which I think it does.
Reminds me of the Sochi sweeping right-hander.
So, as we enter the final 2 corners, Korek is ahead of Cast. Are they going to switch through turn 10? No, they're not. Are they going to switch through turn 11? We'll have to see who gets a better exit. For some reason, Al Nuno was taking his attack mode, but that's not important. But the person ahead is Cast. It seems to be Cast ahead, or is it Korek? They're side by side. Who's going to cross the line first?
It's going to be right down to that line. Who's going to get it?
Dakar wins. But Korek takes P2 by just a very slim margin of 3/10. Less than 3/10 of a second.
Yeah, very tight indeed.
AG Capadonna takes P4 and with it the fastest lap of the race. Nerdy Gaming takes P5. Professor Bloxer takes P6. Sever takes P7. However, the big event today is going to be Dakar taking P1 for the 2nd weekend in a row with his Ferrari branded Mercedes in honour of Niki Lauda.
There we see TDM Van crossing the line, first of the non-point scorers. And so does Shugsy to come home and take P14. And Lano crossing the line, fighting against the Looney for P15 and P16. Well, that was very interesting down to the final wire between Castronics and Corrigetta.
Cast got ahead out of turn 10, and then he also got ahead out of turn 11, but as soon as the corner exit had finished, Correct always seemed to be in front, so I guess Correct was just getting the better exit. He was going slower into the corner and faster out. Cast must have just been going faster in and slower out.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Dakar will be quite happy with that result for the second time in a row.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be over the moon.
For some reason, Jogsy and I always get his name wrong. It's just, it doesn't roll off of my tongue very well. And Nuno, they both took their attack modes on the last lap for some reason, and you have 4 minutes of that, so they could have taken it on the penultimate lap and still had enough to go all the way to the end with.
Yeah, seems like a mismatched strategy there. As we wait for the podium sitters and the winning constructor, who'll soon be taking the podium. Drivers coming into the pits. There is Corrigetta of the Audi. Coming up to park his car and park for Murray.
Make sure he's lined up with the board correctly. Doing a little bit of a 3-point turn maneuver. Make that 4-point turn.
Yeah, I don't know what. Oh, it's not the care in the car anymore. It's Moolcraft. I was gonna say I don't know what the care is doing, but yeah. And I'm waiting to see Castronics come to park up in third. I can't see his car anywhere.
Some people are already getting a little bit happy with the rose water.
And we see the drivers about to come out onto the podium. Out comes Castronics to take his position third on the podium. Great battle he had with Corrigetta. He was unable to take the second place, but still a great performance for him and his team.
Here is Korek with some wonderful clothing on.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Interesting helmet design there as well.
And here comes the winner. Driving for Mercedes, it's Dakar.
And the team representative E sliders. Oh, seems to be an issue with the audio now.
I don't think that the race director is too happy with the fact that there's still Formula 1 music in the game.
Mr. Care goes over in the bush. Not quite sure what he's doing there. And he seems to be joining him. Well, in the end, turned out to be a very interesting race.
Very
Especially
close.
that battle for the podium.
Yeah, that battle for P2 was very, very close. There we go.
There is deprecating music. Not sure quite what's going on down there on the podium. Seems like the care is massacring people with a laser. Well, that's not something you see every day.
Certainly isn't. Well, that's going to round off the coverage for the Santiago ePRIX then. We're going to be back next week and the week after and for a few weeks after that for more Formula E action. So, from Despicable Devil, from myself, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you for the next ePRIX.
Bye-bye.